Dear students, welcome you back in the Leaders Odyssey online homeschooling system. It's your computer teacher with subject Computer Science, grade 6, module 5, Analyzing Data, task 1, More Calculations. The learning objectives of this week are: what is spreadsheet, how to open Microsoft Excel, how to format a spreadsheet, insert new column or a new row, font formatting and alignment, how to make calculations and handle numbers, use of sum, average, minimum and maximum formulas, use of autofill, use of autosum, increase or decrease decimal, how to create a graph. Students, what is spreadsheet? In the past, people used to make calculations on paper by hand and mistakes were common. Then calculator came along and minimized mistakes. However, it was very difficult and time consuming to deal with large amount of data or information, especially for businesses. Today, thanks to spreadsheet, all these problems were of past. Now we do not have these problems. How to open spreadsheet? Running Excel is not different from running any other Windows program. If you are running Windows with a graphical user interface like Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 7, you will follow the steps that I am saying. You will click on Start menu, point to All Programs, then click to Microsoft Excel. Your Microsoft Excel will be opened. If you are using Mac operating system, in the search bar you will write there Excel and you will press enter key. Here is blank workbook in front of you. You will click on create. It is here. You have reached to Microsoft Excel interface. Students, Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet program that is used to record and analyze numerical data. Think of a spreadsheet as a collection of columns and rows. This is columns, this is rows. And these columns and rows form a table. Alphabetical letters are usually assigned to columns and numbers are usually assigned to rows. The point where a column and a row meet each other, that is called a cell. The address of a cell. See here, this is the address of a cell. The address of a cell is given by the letter representing the column or the number representing the row. A worksheet is a collection of rows and columns. Again, this is rows and this is column. These row and column when meet each other, they form a cell. Cells are used to record data. Each cell is uniquely identified using a cell address. Columns are usually labeled with letters and rows are usually labeled with numbers. By default, the file of spreadsheet is called book 1, book 2, book 3 like this. A workbook is a collection of worksheets. Sheets are like the pages of the workbook and it is simply labeled as sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3 and so on. You can increase the number of the sheets by this plus sign as well. Students, if I say in short, Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet program or a powerful spreadsheet program, part of Microsoft Office from Microsoft company. It is used to record, manipulate, store numeric data. Now get ready to become a grid expert. You are going to learn over here how to use more complex formulas and functions. Here you will learn more about what a spreadsheet can do with text and numbers. Dear students, now you have learned what is a spreadsheet, how to open Microsoft Excel. Now it's time to learn how to format a spreadsheet. With the buttons in the font and alignment groups, you can format the data on your cells. Watch the video carefully, you will understand each and every point. That's very interesting. Let's see.
Series Help Desk for Microsoft Excel 2010. During this series, we'll show you how to simplify your workflow and increase your productivity using our tips and techniques. So let's get started. As you begin to type text into cells in Excel, you might want to create a heading for your worksheet or for your columns and rows. As you type the text into the cell, you may quickly find that the text overruns the default boundaries of the cells and that they will need adjusting to display your text more clearly and effectively. With the Home tab selected, type a heading for the worksheet in the first cell. Now, drag through the cells that you want your heading to span by left-clicking and holding while dragging. In the alignment group, open the Merge and Center drop-down arrow and click Merge and Center. With the cell still selected, and again in the Align group, click the Middle Align button so as to vertically center the text with the merged cells. Still with the cell selected, you can now change the font characteristics such as bold and font size. But suppose the cell is not selected anymore. Then just select the cell which contains the text you want to modify and then drag through the text in the formula bar just as you did when selecting cells you wanted to span. Now in the font group, you can change the text format to bold, click the Font Increase button to increase the font size, and click the Font Color drop-down arrow to choose a different font color. Click outside the merged cells to see the new alignment and format applied to your text.
Now you have learned how to go with font formatting and alignment. The next you will learn how to insert new column or a new row. Again, watch the video carefully.
To add more information, you can always add a column or row to your spreadsheet. First, select a column to the right of where you want to insert the new column. Click the Insert drop-down arrow, then select Insert Sheet Columns. Or you can just click the Insert button. A new selected column has been inserted. Now, click the Format Copy Paintbrush button and select a formatting option from the adjacent columns. The new column is now ready to be filled in. If you are in need to increase the size of this new column to fit your newly entered text, you can grab the column border, where the cursor then turns into wide arrows, for which you can then move the border to widen or shrink the size of the column. Inserting a row works much in the same way as adding a column, only you select the row beneath the row you wish to insert, and select Insert Sheet Rows from the Insert drop-down menu.
The next objective is how to make calculation and handle numbers. Use of sum, average, minimum and maximum formulas.
In this demonstration, I'm going to show you some more formulas and how you can use them. As you see, I have a bunch of data here from Sandholmens Shipping, and they do tours of the Swedish Stockholm archipelago, and they pick up passengers during the summer months, and on each of the ports that they visit they pick up passengers and they record how many passengers get on. And now we're simply going to add some formulas to this. We're going to summarize how many people get on the boat in total for each port and for each month. And we're also going to do the same with averages, maximum values and minimum values. I'm going to start up here, do the sum for Kovik during all the summer months. And there are several ways of entering this. You can simply type it in, equals sum of all these numbers. And that reads out as equals is calculate the sum of B5 to G5. Makes sense? And now I can actually do the same thing on all these others too. And I can type it in again, or I can press the auto sum button here, which gives me a suggestion. In this case it's correct. And if I do the same thing, auto sum again here, you'll notice that the suggestion is not correct. I want to summarize that over there. But I can also copy that and then paste it in all of these others here. Or I'm going to undo that one. I can actually use this fill handle here, which is in the bottom right of every Excel cell. And that means that I can pull down every and copy this value to all the others. And what is being copied then is actually the reference that summarize the 6 cells 2 steps to the left. So that's why this fill works and why that copy works, because it's a relative reference. Just to check that the math is actually being done right, one way of doing that is actually zeroing out all the values here. And as you see, it actually does end up with 0 there, so that's good. I'm going to undo that, and again I'm going to do the same thing with sum now. Now I'm going to show you yet another way of doing the sum. Now I'm going to do all of them at the same time by simply selecting the whole range that I want to summarize and the space where I want the summary is placed. So I'm going to auto sum all that, and as you see now I get sums for all these values. So I get the sum for April, May, June, etc. Same thing goes for average. I can type that in, equals average. And when I select a suggestion here, then I press the keyboard here on the down arrow, and then I press the tab to actually autocomplete that formula. And then again I'll type in or select the range that I want to use, the B5 to G5, right? B5 to G5. And now I can decrease the number of decimals. I don't want to see quite that many decimals. And now again I can fill that down because it's a relative reference. Same thing with average here. There's actually a button for average too, but it's hidden here beneath the auto sum. So I'm going to do average there, select the range I want to average. I want the average to be calculated on, and decrease the number of decimals and fill that out to the right too. Same thing with the max, equals max.
Okay, so in this example here I have a small range of some values here, and I've got a list of different functions that we can use using the auto sum ability. So to start with, let's look at the sum function, which is probably the one that most people know when they refer to auto sum, and some of these other ones that we'll look at afterwards, which are also auto sum functions. So the first thing that we're going to do is just select the cell in which we would like to apply the actual sum value, and then navigate over to the Home tab on the ribbon. Across on the far right hand side you will see the auto sum function just here. Now for sum, which is set as default, you can just click directly into the button and back over to our range here, we can see that it has automatically detected all of the values above it, above the function that is, and highlighted them for you, assuming that that is what you would like to actually summarize in this particular example, that is. So I can just press return and I can now see the summarized value of all of those cells. Now, if I came across to, let's say over here on this side, back to the Home tab on the ribbon, across to the right hand side, click on AutoSum, it's going to assume that only one number that is adjacent to me is the value that I would like to summarize, but I can adjust this by just dragging down the list and selecting more cells than what it had assumed I wanted. And again, just press return and I have my summarized value. Okay. Next on the list is to look at the AutoSum ability for an average. So if we wanted to average this particular range, we can do the same thing with the AutoSum ability. So back over to the Home tab on the ribbon, across to the AutoSum. This time you'll see there's a little drop down menu, just tap on that, navigate down to the average, click that, and now it's assumed that all of the numbers above it would like to average. We don't want all of them, we only want this particular range here. We don't want to include the original sum. So we're just going to highlight those. And as you can see, it's B2 to B9, and I can press return. And now I have an average function for that particular range. And it's as quick as easy as that to use the AutoSum for average. We can do the same thing for count. So we can go back over to the Home tab, click on Home, cross to the AutoSum. From the drop down menu, we can choose Count Numbers. And again, we'll select just the range of values that we're looking for and press return. And now we can see that there are 8 values in our range, which we are averaging here and we are summing here. Now, let's say we would like to know what the maximum number is within our range. Again, the AutoSum can do this. We head over to the Home tab, come across here to the drop down menu and choose Max. And again, we'll just select the range that we would like and press return. Now it shows us the maximum value within our range is 120,000. The same thing applies for a minimum. Go to the Home tab, come across to the AutoSum from the drop down menu, select Min, and then just select the range that we would like, press return, and we can see the smallest value in our range is 5,000. And that is all of the various quick uses of AutoSum within Microsoft Excel. You can also navigate to the AutoSum function, the formulas, and it's just here on the left hand side, and again you have all those same drop down menus that you can select from there.
Now you have learned how to use or how to calculate sum, average, minimum and maximum formulas. You saw the AutoSum function as well. Then you learned use of autofill, increase or decrease decimal. The remaining objectives of this week we will cover inshallah in the next class. Till next class, take care. Allah Hafiz.